and welcome to the Gooners podcast, season 6, episode 42. It's the open mic post-game show after Brighton v Arsenal. Owen, how's your Saturday going?
It was going good. Do you want to know what? You know me, I'm a bit of a miserable cunt at the best of times, but I was actually getting quite positive, and then the ever reliable Arsenal are there to zap that positivity straight out of me. So I'm back to being a miserable cunt. How are you?
Are Arsenal unpredictable, or are they predictable in their unpredictability? Because I've been saying this, I use the word contrarian for Arsenal all the time, because literally every time you think that, you know, they've turned that theoretical corner and you can go out and expect them to win, they don't. And every time you think, like after Manchester City, every time you think that it's just as bad as it could possibly get, they come out and they show, you know, I've had a few beers. Let's be honest. They come out, they belch, and they show something. So the one thing you can count on with Arsenal is that you can't count on anything from Arsenal.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. And if you put it in context, Brighton's start to the season, our start to the season, how well they've been doing, the absence, dare I say it, of Granit Xhaka and somebody else in experience as Sambi Lokonga in that centre of the midfield. You look at that and you think, well, look, a point isn't a bad result, especially with the way the game was going. But I think in context of what we saw from Arsenal last week against Spurs, the dominance, the intensity, the press, and everything, how quick we were moving the ball in triangles and in attacking patterns, and just to see it break down within a week and what I would say is a very, very loose performance is a word I would describe. It lacked a lot to be desired, or it left a lot to be desired. Sorry. So I think if you put it in that context, it was a relatively disappointing performance.
Well, and I, you know, I'm not going to put a too positive of a spin on this today. It was disappointing, but I am taking the positives out of this. So I think we may have a bit of a, you know, of a conflict today. We're going to fight. We're gonna battle to the death. I'm pretty sure I'm a better boxer than you are, because you have no experience in the subject, and I'm large. But it's not about you and me, Owen. It's about the supporters. It's about the open micers, and we've got a couple people already in the green room. Join us at gooneropenmic.com if you wanna have your say. And we're gonna start off. You mentioned that Arsenal was what's the word you used? Loose. So we want to welcome in Luce, TBH, Lucy.
Oh, the transition.
Segue. Flawless. I told you pre-pod chemistry, bro.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we don't have a ton of people watching, but we are the smoothest podcast that exists in the world. And Lucy, I've just gotten done with watching nearly an hour of you and Sophie on the Highbury squad talking about the game. So I have a sense of what your thoughts are in the game, but we want to let you have your say and just in general, any particular area you want to talk about, or your feedback on the game as a whole?
As a whole, I would say underwhelming. However, to be more positive, if one word for it, I'd say a draw away to Brighton in the form that they're in is not a bad result for us, considering our start to the season. I feel like if we'd have played them earlier on in the season and we didn't have the momentum that we had coming on from the Spurs game, it would have been a very different story. But today, obviously, we need to keep in mind that we are not a physical team, and we didn't actually get bullied off the ball. We weren't good, but we held our ground and we got a clean sheet. So let's take with that what we will.
Do you think, Lucy, that now when you say that we're not a physical team, just to play devil's advocate, when you look back on last week against Spurs, we were, I thought, very physical at stages, you know, with players like Gabriel, Ben White, Kieran Tierney on the pitch, Sambi Lokonga, Thomas Partey. I would say that we maybe have quite a few capable physical players, but there's an old saying that my manager used to say to us when we were playing football, which was earn the right to play football. And that's something I think that we just gave up on today. You know, there's very few things in football that you can control wholly without the opponent having any impact on that at all. And that's things like your work rate, your attitude, how hard you're going into tackles. And I just thought that we left a lot to be desired in that. Do you think that that's maybe because of a bit of an adrenaline dump from last week, or do you think that there was a tactical mistake made by Arteta? What do you think attributed to us sort of falling down the pecking order in terms of the output in those fields?
I think you have to give credit to Brighton. At the end of the day, we played a very poor, very out of form Tottenham side last week, and today we played a very very coached, very well coached at that. Physically able, they used the weather to their advantage. I feel like we just weren't able to pick up the ball as well. So I think you can't really discredit Brighton and say that, oh, we were so bad. I think they were very, very good. They just didn't have the finishing ability. Like the ball wouldn't come off for them. They didn't get the final touch, which we were very lucky with, by the way. Like there were a lot of opportunities in that game where they should have scored, but we actually got the luck of the draw today and managed to scrape a point. So I would see it as a positive because we played poorly, but still managed to get a point to a good side rather than, oh, we played poorly, we should have got 3 points. I didn't go into that game thinking we were going to win it. I did go into it thinking we were going to draw. It's just a realistic outset, in my opinion.
See, can I throw one thing over to both of you, maybe? All right, and it's not often I bring up complete individual moments within a match, but something that really frustrated me was done by one of my fellow countrymen, Shane Duffy, the fucking inbred bastard. But look, Aaron Ramsdale comes out to collect the ball, he drops the ball, and Shane Duffy, I think, completely obviously body checks him straight to the side of the head. The ball was absolutely nowhere to be seen. We were either used to disappointed that there was no intervention from the referee there, because I know I hate when people say this, but for me, it's definitely a yellow card, maybe an orange. That. Like, do you think that there's a responsibility from the referee there to step in and protect the player?
I think it's a yellow for barging into him as hard as he did, and it could be a possible red for the elbow. I mean, when I look back and saw it, I watch a lot of hockey here. It's my second favorite sport, and it's a great sport with physicality. But there's a difference between a body check that is acceptable and a body check that's not. And it's a really tough one because he's going in on him. Ramsdale does spill the ball, so maybe he, whatever moment he would have thought to pull off and maybe kind of dance around him, he avoids that because he's going in for a ball that's on the ground. But it's sloppy on Duffy's part. He should be punished for that level of contact. I mean, he got all of Ramsdale, and if you really zoom in on it and see, that the elbow might have been a bit high, you could have done a bit more. I mean, I don't think it has a huge impact on the game. I think if he gets his foot on that and scores it and makes that kind of contact, it gets overruled by VAR, unless they're as corrupt as they normally are against us. But I didn't love it.
Sorry, mate. I was just more confused that because obviously goalkeepers get so much more protection. I was more confused about not the challenge itself that it wasn't, but more that it's on a keeper. So why wasn't it at least like it wasn't at least acknowledged by the referee, like it wasn't even spoken about? But
do you think that that's Aaron Ramsdale's fault for not making more out of it? Potentially, would see players nowadays doing that much more, or is that something that you respect for Aaron Ramsdale for?
It's not his job to make a big deal out of it. I mean, obviously,
what
you
more
see it
could he
so
have
much.
done? Like should he have gone
into
abortions and stuff?
Exactly. Yeah. You see so many players nowadays. Like sometimes it can affect the referee's judgment. Like if they see a player go down or they see a player rolling around on the floor, it's sort of like it's human nature to react as if, oh crap, that was really bad because of the reaction. But I always have a lot of respect for players that stay up if they can. It's just unfortunate that the advantage is often given to players who overreact or dive or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I mean, Owen. I mean, you've got to look at this as being a quality point on the road. I mean, like if there were points in the game that were a little bit disconcerting. Obviously, I mean, they ended up the first half with about 65% possession, which you wouldn't want to see. But a couple things I just want to bring up, and then Luce, we're going to move on to some other folks. And I know you've got stuff to do. Away support once again, just fantastic. I know your dad was in there. I think I heard him specifically.
Always
with that voice of his, but especially in the first 10 or 15 minutes, I mean, they brought it. But really throughout the game. The away support this season has been amazing, and I can't wait to be part of that in the next few weeks when we go to Leicester. We got. I need to ask you, and I plan on asking everybody on the podcast today. Is Arsenal's dentist? Do we need to start thinking about a new dentist, because there are Gabriel's teeth, like 7% of Gabriel's teeth have been spilled on the pitch since he signed for us.
Bless him. Oh, he does give it his all with like he's given teeth, he's given everything. You just see him after a challenge, you're like, oh, is he looking for his teeth on the field again? Yeah, it was.
I mean, like 50% of the games, he's walking around the pitch looking for a body part or like a organ left on the pitch, and
he has to come off the pitch and check he's still got both his arms and legs. Like, it gets to that point, I think. But seriously. I love it. I love his passion. I love the way he carries himself as well. I think he's great.
And I think he's probably one of 3 people you could probably nominate for man of the match. But who's your man of the match today for Arsenal?
If I could give it to a sub, I don't think it's fair because it didn't get a lot of game time.
Sub/future husband.
Yeah, exactly. My future husband. Just for looking so good in an Arsenal shirt, I would give it to Lacazette. I think overall, yeah, probably Gabriel. He's solid. There was some good interceptions, some good recoveries made. So yeah, probably Gabriel.
Just before you go, Lucy, I mentioned before the podcast started that myself and Mike were going to be playing a game later on in the podcast, but I've decided I'd like to involve our guests in this, okay? But I would like Mike to have the first crack at this. So anybody who's a long-time watcher of the podcast will know that Mike constantly pokes fun at the spelling of my name, which is a traditional Irish spelling of Owen. So what I'm going to do, I've seen some of these videos on YouTube before of Americans trying to pronounce Irish names. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw up some Irish names, and we can get Mike to maybe try and pronounce it. Then we'll get our guest to try and pronounce it. And
I'm going to be I'm going to offend some people with this. Oh my God.
What I'm going to do is, and I know there's a couple of Irish people in our chat, so if you can refrain from breaking down the pronunciation. So, Mike, what is this traditional Irish name?
I mean, it reminds me of porn, like "Common Me." I mean, I think I saw a video on Pornhub that was titled that, but
I'll give you a clue. It's a female name.
Oh, well, Chow Me. No, that would be more Italian.
Lucy, with your geographical connection being slightly closer, have you any idea?
Do you know, my friend is going to kill me because she's Irish, so she would be shouting at me right now, but I don't know, like Shami? I don't know.
Kiva.
No idea.
It's Kiva.
Kiva.
All right, just stop as a country. Just stop at
this or in the south, some people pronounce it Quiva, but they're fucking idiots. Kiva. So
Kiva. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We've got a problem if that's Kiva. And I love that that's how we're sending Lucy out. She's gonna the whole day. She's gonna be thinking.
Yeah, I'm gonna be baffed. I feel like there's someone just slammed their head on a keyboard and just said, "Yeah, that's how you spell it." Like,
that's what I thought.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, our next guest has some more Celtic roots, so he may be able to. But maybe able to.
It's not going to be our next guest because we got to take advantage of someone who's in Europe right now who's got a bad cell phone connection. We'll see how it goes. But Lucy, thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, we got to get these guys on before they leave. My good friend, normally from Texas, but currently I believe in France. We've got David and Lori, David Ziegler with the crazy hair. Where are you at this moment?
We're in Paris. We're in Montmartre.
Oh, Montmartre, one of my favorite places in the world, Montmartre. Are you in that square right now, like next to the church where all the artists are selling their wares?
No, all the stuff up there closes around 9. So we've come down the hill, down not all the way to the bottom, but we've come down the hill just a little bit.
All right, so where does a lovely couple from San Antonio, Texas, in Montmartre go to watch the Arsenal game today? Their phone?
There's a great spot right next to the top of the funicular, Sacré-Cœur. There is an Irish pub right there called Corcoran's, and we went in there at like 4 because we had the time wrong, and we messed up the time, so we ended up sitting there till 6:30 for kickoff. But they turned the sound on for us for a while at least, and there were some other Arsenal fans in.
It was good.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's one. Well, that's one. Previous trips over here, we've watched it at the Hackney Bridge pub, which is over near, kind of near the Eiffel Tower. And then there's actually a supporter group here that meets at the Three Lions pub over near Austerlitz. The last time we came, though, they basically no-showed and the bar didn't open. So I've kind of given up.
So, all right. So you have the perspective of having been in the house for the derby last week, which I'm going to kill you both for being there for that game. That was fantastic. And then watching this performance, bit of a hangover. And I'm not talking about the both of you. I'm talking about Arsenal. Bit of a hangover, or is this just the difference between playing a team that's out of form at home versus playing a team that's in form away from home?
I think it was the weather.
It was just the rain. That's what's to blame. Our players slipped.
Saka looked like he was tiptoeing. He looked like he didn't know how to walk in the rain or run in the rain.
Like Bambi on ice.
And it just didn't work. Yeah.
Well,
Saka looked totally out of sorts.
They did have the same weather, though. I mean, like unless the cloud was directly over the side that they were attacking or we were attacking versus them. I mean, I don't love bad weather, but I think today I just think that Brighton was that good.
Mm-hmm.
You can give credit to the opponent sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh no, definitely. You have to give them credit. They didn't. Was last week their first loss of the season? I think.
I think so. I mean, they had a chance to go second today. They might have gone third after, with the point, but they've been fantastic.
Well, last weekend, they played. No, they haven't missed a beat at all. They played on Monday. So after we won on Sunday, if they had won on Monday, they were going to be top of the table. For this match, they were going to be top of the table. So they didn't. The balls 2 rounds.
They didn't lose. I think they lost against or they drew against Palace, which they would have won, except
that's right.
I think Palace. Yep. Oh no, they were going to lose, and then they scored a 94th minute goal from that douchebag.
That's right.
Mopé. But
But I think if they had won, they would have been top of the table. Go ahead.
Before we let you go to enjoy the rest of your evening, what are we eating? And what we're at the base of the funicular in Montmartre, which is one of my favorite places in the world. What are we eating today?
They're just snacking on some fries.
Free.
What kind of fries? I mean, are they French?
They are French. Here.
Yeah.
Have you had the escargot yet? Have you had the escargot? Oh, that's hot.
No, not this trip. I normally do eat it, though. I love it, but I didn't get any this trip.
They're proper chips. They're not even fries. They're like chips.
Now, how come you're not in a pub right now going on in France is the Nice-Brest derby between Nice, which some people refer to as Nice, and Brest. Is Paris just ablaze with the excitement over the Nice-Brest derby?
Not really.
I haven't heard a peep.
Lori, can we see your Nice-Brest derby? All right. That's yeah.
Oh wait. Go ahead. There we go.
That's as good as it gets.
Yeah, we'll save that derby for the next time I see you guys. Well, enjoy the rest of your trip.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Are you going anywhere else besides Paris, or what's next?
Nope. Home tomorrow.
This is the end of a little over a week. So tomorrow is home. It was Mont Saint Michel in the middle of the week. So London, Paris, Mont Saint Michel, back to Paris, and then home tomorrow.
Well, you guys know how to do it.
Here, before you go, obviously,
we've
got to do this traditional Irish name. So if you can help Mike pronounce this name, that would be very much appreciated. Here we go, Mike. So you take first crack, Mike. There we go. Again, a female name. That's your clue.
Oh my God, where are you pulling these from? Aben.
That's
not overly far off, actually. Guys,
it's clearly Owen. It's clearly Owen.
All of the names. This is the trick. All of the names are going to end up being Owen.
Yeah, no, it's Avine.
Yeah,
Avine.
Fergus
Yeah,
saying Evelyn.
Yeah.
All right, Evie.
Avine.
Really?
So what we've
I
learned
don't
is
see
Irish
it.
people
I don't
Irish
know.
people can't spell for shit. Then is what we're figuring out here. Then okay.
This looks like a name from Star Wars. I mean,
Sorry,
I
you-
think that's
and
like
you-
a Sith.
And Dave, you more and more are starting to look like a character from the Tatooine bar in Star Wars. So
Yeah, that's a Halloween idea.
yep. All right, guys.
That's a
Well,
that's
enjoy
a
the
good
rest of your
Halloween
trip.
idea. All right, man.
Take care. Love you guys.
Will
All right.
do.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Au revoir. All right, man. You've stumped me twice on these names now. All right. So next, we're going to start to go in order of people who came in the room. So we will welcome in the man who's making his X straight up. I don't know what the number is, but straight appearance on here. He's a man who is sitting 1 inch from his webcam right now. Colin, I can already sense that you're probably feeling a bit different than I am about this game today. So let's hear it.
Pissed off? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, look, this first game after 3 straight wins, some underwhelming wins, a wonderful win last week, and then this performance today. So lay it on us.
I find it's actually better not to ask Colin any question and just
No.
tell him ready. Set,
All right, Colin, go.
First thing first, right? See those Irish names thing? People think I'm going to be good at that. No.
Well, we've got one person in our red room that I'll not name yet that'll be massively disappointed if he doesn't get these.
That performance, right? This is why I'm so hesitant to go all in with this team. Right? There's no consistency with this team. There's not. Tottenham last week is more the exception than the rule. It's just what it is. Like, Odegaard wasn't in the game. Oba barely got a touch of the ball. There was a chance in the first half where Smith Rowe played him in beautifully. Any contact, that's the goal. It's just this, right? But also, I'm not gonna say that the starting 11 was wrong, because I think mostly everybody would have gone with that exact same starting 11. Don't change too much if you don't have to. But that first half, we suffered from a lack of control in midfield, and Arteta left it too late with his subs. Again, he should have brought on Ainsley at the start of the second half to get more control, because Sambi was clearly struggling.
Do you think that? I mean, do you think there's a level of man management there though, where you take Sambi out in the first half, you're really basically telling him that he's the problem? I mean, or do you just not care about that?
No.
You got to get it done.
No, the way I see it, Arteta's got to get results, right? You shouldn't care about a player's feelings. A manager's job is not to care about a player's feelings. It's the same reason why, Ollie's failing at United right now. No manager would care what the players think.
See when you say that you would have taken on Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Colin, what would that switch have looked like? Would that have been a direct replacement in centre mid, or would that have been to remove somebody from midfield and match up right and putting Ainsley on his wing back and moving Tomiyasu into a back three? What would that substitution look like?
No. You don't change the back four unless you absolutely have to. Okay. What you do, you take off Sambi because he was struggling, and then you put on Ainsley in midfield.
But do you not think that the reason that we needed to change and part of the reason why Tomiyasu was struggling was because we were being overloaded in that wide area, which is, and this leads me on to another point about Kieran Tierney too, because I feel that at times now, whilst Kieran Tierney is very good at attacking, we're putting too much emphasis on his position and to be too far forward when what he is good at is building up through combination play from deep and then transitioning into a more attacking position. Do you not think that's where we lost this game, which was the wide areas, which is and forgive me, I can't remember their new left back's name, but why he shone so much, the left back for Brighton.
But you know what? Kieran Tierney's been quite poor for a few games now. But no one wants to highlight it because it's Kieran Tierney. Like,
He's been average this season. That's all he's been this season. I mean, nothing special.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's shit because I don't think he is. But at the same time, like, it goes back to what I was saying about Tottenham being the exception rather than the rule. Because if you actually watch our games, you notice it's backs to the wall the majority of the time. And that to me is a problem because, like, it's all well and good getting up for Tottenham, right? But if you don't carry that on, what good does that do? It's like, okay, we got 3 points against Tottenham. All right.
Well,
what did you do against?
We've been saying, Colin, that all throughout Arteta's tenure that we know that this team can be made to perform, can be encouraged to perform in games that are big. I mean, we've seen it time and time again, in the FA Cup run, in limited opportunities against teams on the road, and 2 games against Tottenham now. We've seen that they can play that way, but it's always been about the games that are, that have been lost last year, the games against Wolves and Villa and West Ham and worse. I mean, losing against Burnley last year. Those are the games that we need to win in order to get back into Europe. I don't know that playing at the Amex against Brighton when they're in an absolute purple patch, and getting a draw out of it despite playing pretty, being second best is necessarily a damning sign on Arsenal and Arteta right now.
And do you think
had we lost against Burnley or Norwich, not Norwich because that was a home game, I see the Leicester game being a better arbiter of our performance than the game against Brighton. I see the next away game after that, which presumably is it Newcastle or Wolves. I mean, those are the games we have. If you get a point out of every away game and 3 points out of the majority of your home games, you're in Europe. And Brighton, I just think we need to give Brighton some credit.
Look, I'm not going to take away from Brighton, bro. Honestly, like, Graham Potter's done amazing over there. But here's the problem with what you just said, yeah? We've seen what this team can do because you have exceptions like Tottenham this season, like Chelsea last season, right?
Leicester last season. I mean, we've put it together before, yeah.
Right? But the problem is it's not consistent enough, right? And you can't build what Arteta is trying to build unless you're consistent, right?
Do you think, Colin, when we talk about this is something I was just thinking about during that first half performance, which was that, do you think in a way Mikel Arteta and maybe the squad in general build up for these big games, the likes of United and Spurs and Liverpool, these big sides, that they build them up too much as too big of an occasion? Because, and I always look back to what Tyson Fury said after he won the world title against Vladimir Klitschko, when he says that this is something he had been chasing his whole life. It was just such a big deal. And once he got there, he had this dump, and it was like, well, what do I do now? And in many ways, I think maybe that's what Arteta and Arsenal do with these big games. We look at these games as massive moments in our season and so much build up, so much energy putting in to get the result, that once that result is achieved, there's just a natural adrenaline dump. Do you think that we maybe need to strip that back and just go back to making these games slightly more routine and worry more about picking up the results against these sort of so-called lesser teams?
No, I don't think we need to drop the intensity at all. Like, Tottenham, the intensity was right. Mm-hmm. Like, we got the result because of that. Like, you could say Tottenham was poor. All right, yeah, they were. But at the same time, we've got to make them play like that. The problem is, for the majority of that game today, we suffered from a lack of control in the midfield, and you could see it from the off. The warning signs were there in the first half, and Mikel Arteta did not react. At halftime, I was like, because I was doing a watch along during the game, yeah, and I was thinking to myself, you know what? Bring Niles on at half-time, put him in midfield, and try and get a little more control in midfield, because we were getting overrun in midfield. If you watch the first half, you notice it. It was clear as day for everyone to see it, okay? The problem with Mikel Arteta, and it's a doubt I've had since the start of the season, right? I don't think he can change games the way other managers may end up doing.
But I'm not sure, Colin, that, like, and respectfully, obviously, I'm not sure that I agree with you that Ainsley Maitland-Niles is the person to come in and control a midfield.
No. When I say come, like, here's the thing, right? Our midfield, there's very little options there, right? And there's very little players that you could look to come in and control, right? Because Elneny is not controlling a midfield. He's not, right? Xhaka's out injured. You make do with what it is, right? Out of all of them, right? If it's not Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who is it?
Let me ask a question. Would this have not been a situation where maybe bringing Lucas Torreira back into the fold might have made some sense? I mean, he's not. I mean, no one really remembers him. He's on loan, I think, right? I mean, he's not completely sold yet. Loan with option, I think, or loan with no option.
But you know what? I don't think Mikel Arteta wants him, to be honest.
Well, clearly, by the way he's acted, but like
no, I think when you look at that, look, we're going back to transfer business just after a transfer window has closed, and what I would say is that even with commentators and people on Twitter, you know, they're the all-known people of the world, the people on Twitter, obviously, but there's been a lot of people saying, "Oh, fucking Sambi Lokonga and Partey, it doesn't work. It's one game against a certain team." You know, I think Brighton and Graham Potter played us to a T, overloaded us in wide areas and exposed our wing backs on their own. And for me to turn around and say that the Tomiyasu, the Partey and Lokonga experiment should end there, I think it's just silly. We need to give this relationship time to flourish and grow. And I actually think that Sambi wasn't terrible today. Out of everybody, I don't think that
he was terrible. No one's saying he was terrible. Like
I don't think he was particularly strong. I think he grew into the game a little bit, but
I do think we need to do a thing. You know, the way when Granit Xhaka gets on the ball on the edge of the box, that people shout boom. We need to come up with a no chant for when Partey gets the ball on the edge of the box. Like, fuck, don't do it, Tommy.
Why is he doing that? Like, there was times in the game where I'm thinking, please don't shoot. For the love of God, don't, like.
It's just frustration. We've seen it from other players too.
He's getting closer. His shots went into Roned instead of Rosed today. Like he's getting better, a little bit closer. By like 2024, he'll actually put it on frame. I'm positive of that.
Mm-hmm. Part of me wants to praise him for having a go, but also part of me wants to strangle him for shooting from there.
Mm-hmm.
Like equally as. Like I rate him for having a go, right? Because how many times have we said over the years, just have a go, right?
Yeah, no, we want that. He just really needs to.
See, while we're on the subject of creativity and shots, Colin, last question before we let you go. There's a couple of people just in a bit of a backlog backstage, but
this isn't the last question, by the way, from Fergus, but it is a good question.
I'm sober. Right.
I on the other hand.
My question was that I seen a stat on Sky Sports or somewhere that Alexander Lacazette had the same amount of touches as Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang throughout the entirety of both their appearances against Brighton, which was 6. Do you blame that on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, or do you think that was solely just because Martin Odegaard was misfiring today?
Both of them didn't get in the game, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like I barely remember Oba touching the ball. I barely remember Odegaard touching the ball. Like, don't get me wrong. I like Odegaard and what he brings to the team, but you know he just wasn't in the game. Same with Aubameyang. But the thing with Odegaard, right? He's had more good games than bad, right? So you can kind of let that one go, right? However, With Aubameyang, it's different. Now, I don't think he's as terrible as people make out because, again, if you put movement behind him, I'm still of the view that he could work. However, it's gotten to the point now where you can't explain Aubameyang's form. You just can't. It doesn't matter how you rationalize it. It's one of these things where maybe it's age and it's just caught up with him, or maybe Mikel Arteta's style doesn't suit him. Like, I can offer so many reasons as to why it's not firing, but ultimately we'll never know the answer because no one can put a single reason as to why. No one. I'm not
Well,
sure
I also
what
think from match to match, you see an Aubameyang that looks back into it, and then you see one that's completely out of it. I mean, I don't know.
That's what I mean. You can't explain it no more. You can't.
Speaking of can't explaining something, let's speak
do we
of
have an Irish name for? We got a couple more people to get to.
Can't pronouncing something. Let's just see how cultured Michael Feinberg is.
Come on, this is Siobhan.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it's Siobhan, man.
I know people named this that live in the United States of America. So it's not Siobhan, it's Siobhan. I know this.
Yeah, at least you don't look completely uncultured.
Get that weak shit out of here, man. I mean, you think you can take me down? You got another thing coming.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel sorry for him? Is that it?
I did, yeah. I thought it.
By the way, does my background look like a green screen, or does it? I mean, because I'm in nature today. I'm actually.
I was just gonna say you're shitting all over Tom Canton's. He got ripped off.
I'm in the woods.
I did the green screen long before Tom did. Come on, let's just get that straight right now.
No,
he did it well.
and you parlayed that into an incredible career. All right, mate. All right, we're gonna go. Take care, Colin. Good to see you. Hopefully, we have I don't know, the next few matches. I don't know what our post game show is gonna look like because I'm gonna be at them. So, hopefully somebody will pick up the slack. But Colin, always good to see you.
Yeah, even though I'm the most hated guy on the planet, but hey, isn't it?
Don't give yourself that much credit. Come on.
At least you send people T-shirts.
Yeah, at least when I order a T-shirt from you, you actually send it to me. So
I've never. All
right, mate. All right, take care.
Take care, bro.
All right, we got Mike Scunny from Scunthorpe. He's getting ready to go skiing and canoeing. He's going to take a canoe down the ski slope with that hat on. Can't hear you, buddy.
He's professional too, isn't he?
I mean, he's a podcaster. We can't hear him.
Right, sorry, my settings were set to the wrong mic. Good evening, champions. How are we doing?
That was the most enjoyable conversation I've ever had with you.
Shut up. That's the most enjoyable bush I've ever seen in your background, mate.
Don't tell your wife about that, or your mom.
Scunny, ESR this evening. Probably one positive we can take out of that game, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I put him down as what I would say my Arsenal player's man of the match. I thought he was the bright spark in our team. I felt he was constantly trying to move the ball forward. He was always trying something new to move forward. So, yeah, definitely probably the better player of our team from today out of what I felt was a very, very poor performance all round in some respect.
So let's start with the man of the match, and then we'll scale it back and peel back the onion a little bit. I mean, ESR, Gabriel, Ramsdale. I think I can't imagine how you could possibly nominate anyone other than those three.
I think Ben White could have been in with a bit of a shout, but because I felt he was probably on par with Gabriel. But for me, definitely ESR was the standout. Ramsdale, although I don't feel he had that much to do today. I know Brighton had quite a fair few shots but none of them really were on target. There was only that, I think there was maybe two, and I can only really think of one, is that save from that cross towards Mupé, and I thought that was a brilliant save.
That salvaged a point, basically.
Well, I say save more of an interception than a save.
Leno would have parried that directly out to Mopé and gone into the goal, right? I mean, we just have to admit that that's what Leno would have done, right? Bird.
See, on them likeable players, though, Scunny, the ones you talked about there, Aaron Ramsdale, Ben White, Kieran Tierney, Emile Smith-Rowe, another player that falls into the very likeable category, and we seem to be sort of racking those guys up at the minute. And something I mentioned last week on our podcast was that I think that it matters to have a likeable group of players, players that people can relate to, players that people can get behind. You can't just tell people to trust the process when nobody actually likes any of the people that they're being told to trust. Do you think that maybe one of the reasons we're not seeing such a heavy backlash to a performance and maybe a result like this is because people are starting to make those connections with those players again?
Well, if you look at it, since we've had that sort of back line in Tierney, Gabriel, White, and Tomiyasu, we haven't lost a game so far with them four at the back, including Ramsdale in goal. So yeah,
3 clean sheets too.
Exactly. So when you start getting them, and you start seeing them results coming in, more people do back them, and I think it's very hard for a lot of people to say bad things about them, although they do. They do make mistakes and stuff, but they have that little bit of leeway because they're earning money in the bank for themselves, so they do have that little bit of leeway to, make the odd mistake.
Speaking of making the odd mistake, I'm gonna do that right now by bringing Fergus on. We're gonna.
Oh, did you have to put me on with this guy? I'm off.
we're gonna finish it off. We're gonna talk about used cars. We're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk. Fergus, we want to hear your point of view. You look fantastic. You look nice and tan.
Tan, he's absolutely slinging it down in the UK.
He's on the sunbed. He's on the fucking sunbed.
It's blood pressure, boys. It's blood pressure.
No trip down to Brighton today for you, Ferg. What happened?
No, I did make a trip to Brighton. It was my nephew's 30th birthday, so we had a garden party in this weather today, and they set up the TV screens and everything else. Oh, Fergus, you're the Arsenal man. We got the Brighton game. We got it all set up, and I went, yeah, I'm going home to watch the game. I went to the pub, but yeah, Scotty, good to see you, mate. I'll see you at Leicester.
And you will. I think Magic Mike's going to Leicester as well.
I'll see you both.
Yeah, I know. He's been messaging me. He's been telling me, is saying to me, give me a countdown to how many days it's going to be until I'm in his arms, because I'm his love child.
I did say it's about 2 weeks until you're in my. You're nestled into my ample bosom.
It's funny because
into your nice breast, breast, isn't it? Yay! I don't like that one.
I think he wants to sort out that dodgy Ford you sold him, mate.
We've been, me and Mike have been discussing what we're going to do with the weekend I'm over, so I get there on the Friday and leave on the Sunday evening, and we actually said, look, we'll just keep Saturday completely free so that we can meet everybody. Now I'm starting to think, like, are we really that popular that we need to keep a full day? Nobody's going to meet us. We're just going to be drinking in the pub.
Are you over
hungover and throwing up all day Saturday? I mean, I don't.
You do that every day, so you're used to that, so that's fine. Owen, Saturday, just ignore Mike for a minute. Are you over for the Villa game? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Friday night on the piss. Everyone's out.
And then we're
as be quiet, Yank. A second, we're talking. As Mickey Flanagan would say, we're out. So listen, before we get into my opinion and Scunny's opinion and everybody else's opinion, Colin's opinion. Oh, Jesus Christ. Maitland-Niles. Yeah, I am Irish. Yes, thank you, Ray.
Just before you start, Fergus, about Colin, can someone pass him a Xanax or something? Just to calm him down a little.
Cheer him up, the fuck's sake.
Of all people, even I was sat in the background on your Red Room, and if you're listening to him thinking,
Green Room.
Hell.
No, it's the Red Room, Fergus. We are Arsenal Football Club, not Celtic.
Oh, that's true. Well, I'm Irish, so it's always a green room for me.
I don't always agree with what Colin has to say, but that friggin' accent, man, you just have to listen to it.
I've noticed that too, even with myself. It gets you away with a lot. It does 100%. But I like someone who's honest. That's the thing. And Colin is honest. He's a miserable cunt, and I'm a miserable cunt. But he's an honest miserable cunt.
Yeah, but it's fine being honest. If Owen, it's fine being honest, but being fucking stupid, it doesn't make make for the honesty. He's saying Sammy was like Lakonga was poor. Oh dear, we got done for language. I think.
Do I sense a much Arsenal and Guns and Yellow Ribbons collaboration coming up sometime in the future?
Maybe
you're not allowed to swear on Guns, mate. So you're not invited.
No. But he was saying about Maitland-Niles should have been on for Sammy. Sammy had a good game, and Maitland-Niles, if he was good enough, he would have started. Okay, because it was the very perfect opportunity for him to start with Xhaka being out. He said he didn't even notice Aubameyang. Okay, Aubameyang hit the post in the first 15 minutes. Aubameyang had a poor game, granted, but he did hit the post. He also mentioned about Odegaard. Didn't even see him. Sorry, Odegaard, again, look, what player did have a great game? It was awful conditions, but Odegaard did.
I was going to throw this player to you because I'm seeing the man behind you there on your window. There's not a person intruding into your house, Fergus. Don't worry, it's Tony Adams' poster behind you. Gabriel at the back. I think he's been an absolute rock.
Outstanding. Yes,
like a colossal defender.
That man Owen stood out and stood up to me against Burnley, and Mike was at Burnley away. I watched it here in this room, and I watched him bellow at every one of his colleagues and teammates, bellow at the referee, stand up and fight the corner for every one of his teammates. Gabriel, and I think he will help Ben White alongside Tomiaski, etc. I think he's going to really do good.
Tomiaski,
Colin did.
The Polish version of Tomiasu.
No, yeah, Tomiasu. I was only looking at a couple of notes I made here about what Colin had said. He did also mention that we looked very poor.
I love that.
He wound me up that much. Honestly, he did. Look.
You have to know, Fergus, to imagine him go, fuck this, I ain't getting a fucking pen and a piece of paper.
I got a fucking... and listen, you are the man who likes a pen. We know that. But he talked about He talked about we didn't turn up, and he was right. Spurs were very poor, and they did make us look good last week. We were exceptional last week, but Spurs were exceptionally poor, and they made us look better. You have to factor in this whole game the conditions. Like it's been horrendous here. The conditions, the rain and the wind and everything else, and you could see that Ramsdale dropped the ball when he got fouled on that occasion, and that was awful. But you know what? The second half performance gave me some hope. The first half was appalling. The second half gave me some hope. I thought we knuckled down, we battled, we tried to, maybe nick it on and like get one goal at the end of the game. But we held on for a draw.
Is that
smash.
Is that something, Scunny, that we can look at and say that game is something that the Arsenal of old, maybe 2, 3, 4 months ago, would have definitely went on to lose that game? Do you think that there is maybe a bit more resilience in this side with this particular group of players?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mentioned it on a few things. I mentioned it on my Twitter as well. Pretty much exactly what you just said there. A few games ago, or even last year, we probably would have lost that match. So to come out of it, and I know there's a lot of people out there saying it's just Brighton, but Brighton have been very, very good so far this season. I hate that it's only Brighton. I hate that it's only Burnley. I'm not into that sort of thing.
But do you accept it's only Tottenham?
Well, in all fairness, when it comes to the North London derby, goes out the window for any, regardless what performance the teams are playing. It's a derby. No, sorry, it's completely different. But I know what you're saying, Fergus. But it's only Tottenham. Don't worry about it.
I don't know if I don't know.
I'm going to answer that. Sorry, I'm going on a bit of a rant. So shut up. And as I was saying,
it's twice.
It's been done. Yeah. As I was saying, yes, 100%. A few months ago, we probably would have lost that match, but to come out of it with a 0-0 draw, I think it's an okay result. I don't think it's the best result we could have had, but the way we were playing, which I mentioned at the start when I first come on here, we were a very poor side today. So to come out with that scraping a 0-0, I think we've done really well.
Scotty,
That's my
3-4
point of
weeks
view.
ago. Hang on 1 second. Be quiet.
Jesus
3-4. 3-4 weeks ago. 3-4 weeks ago, would we have won that game?
Probably that's what I mean. Probably not. You know, if we were
3-4
playing
weeks
before,
ago,
we were playing before the Man City game, we probably wouldn't have won that game.
We've just taken 1 point from a team above us. We haven't done that. Bar Spurs, who we swapped places with, we haven't done that all season. We've lost and dropped points from a team above us in the league. So I know we're grasping at straws and looking for positives, but I think with the process and with the integration of new players and a new system, we've seen more or less this bar Shaka, more or less the same starting 11 for 3 games. You can come in a second, Michael. We'll let you have a word. We've seen more or less the same team for 3 games, and it's just good to see like a solid starting 11. Owen, what did you think?
I am going to punish.
Can I just sorry, Mike? Can I just cut in really quick? I'm your guest now. And guess you meant to thingy with your guests, aren't you? You meant to let them talk.
You
But
may not.
you-
You may not. I've just muted Mike. Right. Listen. I am going to get the two of you back in the most disgusting, aggressive way I possibly know how, and that is to add this guy to the stream.
Oh,
Listen.
Oh, I like Nunny. How are we doing, mate?
Yeah.
What
Fergus has got.
the fuck are you lot babbling on about?
Are you?
What
all right, so
are you on about?
You're on the
He's
train
drunk
on
again.
the way home from Brighton.
he's drunk again.
Your head is upside
You honestly
down, and
you honestly think that is an acceptable performance? What
No.
the fuck?
Why not?
Are you happy with that?
Nunny.
Are you
No.
happy with a 0-0 draw at Brighton?
I never said I
Honestly.
was happy with it. I
I'm
can
not
accept it.
devastated by it.
Not happy
You
at
forgot to
all.
pay your ticket, Nunny. He's kicking you off the train.
Had to be 3 points today, minimum.
Minimum, like how much more than 3 points can you get?
Performance. How many shots on target did we have? How many chances did we create? Tell me.
We had 2 shots. We had 2 shots on target. The same number of shots on target Brighton had.
Okay, I'm asking why are we so poor going
No.
forward?
You asked how many shots we had on target. I said 2, and I also said our opposition, who we drew against, also had 2. So for me, that's a draw. And listen, you were there. I unfortunately couldn't be there today. You know what the weather was like. You saw the wind, the rain, and everything else.
Weather!
No. Nunny, hang on a second.
It was raining, so performance is fine. Really?
Right, did you see
Really?
Ramsdale drop the ball due to it being that wet?
Yeah, as goalkeepers do. Their goalkeeper would have had the same problem had we have created more chances.
Yeah, we didn't create them, nor did they. We prevented them.
But we're Arsenal Football Club. They're Brighton.
Yeah, yes, we are. And Arsenal Football Club are not performing to the level they should be. Brighton Football Club are performing way above the level they should be. So, I think we done okay. I agree with you. I'm not happy with the result. I agree with Scotty. I'm not happy.
Here's one to throw over to you, Nunny, which is the starting 11. The starting 11.
General question here, and I'm
Oh, you're probably lagging.
I'm going to ask this question because I honestly do not know the answer. I don't know the answer, but Brighton are where they are because who have they played? Who have they beat? I honestly don't know the answer. Everyone's lauding fucking Graham Potter and Brighton. Who have they beaten so far this season to be where they are? Who have they played?
I agree. Andy, I agree with you.
No, Fergus, I don't know the answer. Honestly, I don't know the answer to it. I was asking everyone on the way back to Brighton earlier. I was like, Brighton are where they are. Like, had they have beat Palace, they'd have gone top of the league. But who have they played?
I'll find out in a second. I do agree with your point, and that's what I said about earlier before you jumped on. is that we've got 1 point against a team that's above us, with the exception of Spurs, who we moved above on by beating them 2-0. But every other team that we played who were further up the league than us, we haven't gained a point against them. I'm going to find out that question, who they played, in a second. Sorry, anybody else can answer.
Yeah, I'll throw my question over to Nonny that I was going to ask you, Nonny, which was, so you're saying the performance being per.
Fergus, I get what you're saying. In Chelsea, would they be above us?
Yeah, what I was going to ask you, Nonny, is the starting 11 that come out. Every single pre-game show that I watched, every single Twitter post that I seen, everybody wanted this lineup: Lokonga, Partey, midfield, Odegaard, basically the same team that absolutely smashed Spurs the week before. Where was it that today went wrong? Was it the team selection, the performance, the substitutions? Where did we fall short today? Yeah.
Well, in answer to his question, they've played Burnley, who they beat. They beat Watford.
Burnley.
Yeah, they beat Burnley, beat Watford, lost to Everton, beat Brentford, beat Leicester, and drew against Crystal Palace and drew against us. Scunning on your bunny. I like that.
That's not a bad start to the season, to be honest. I mean, it's not like they've won back-to-back games in Manchester or anything like that. But
are there easy games in the Premier League anymore?
No,
I think sometimes we look back and think it's 2003. I think
people tend to. Sorry, Owen, I'm just going to cut in quick, and I just think people tend to forget that it's a long, drawn-out season. Sometimes these 0-0 draws happen, and sometimes this is how it works out. This is how it ends. But like we said before, if it was last season or a few months ago, we probably would have lost that game. So to get these 0-0 draws, I think it helps us out in the long run as well, and it helps the team out because they had a bit of a fight on their hands today with Brighton. You know, there was at us from the kickoff. You know, they never really stopped.
Yes, they were.
So it's a case of, no, I'm not happy with the result, but I accept the result because it was a long, fought-out match. I said we played poorly, which we did. But it's just the way it goes sometimes. We've got to accept these 0-0 draws every now and again.
Scunny, I was chatting to Kevin Campbell on Thursday. I was doing one of his who are you sort of things, and we were talking about leading up to the Brighton game, and I asked him, I said, would you be happy with a draw before the game? And he went, no, I wouldn't. I think the way we played on Sunday, I'd like to go there and expect that we would get a win. I said, don't get me wrong, I'd take a draw if all else fails, because I think we need some points, but I think we look better, and we should be going for 3 points. It's a silly excuse, but I do say the conditions do make a little bit of a difference, and I think that did have a big impact on both us and Brighton. I was sitting in my local pub watching the game, and I was sitting with one of the West Ham coaching team, Kevin Nolan, and Ramsdale made that save. Did you guys think that that save was a really good save? The one where the Brighton player was coming in and really he just needed.
It was Maupay coming in. Yeah, of course it was a good save. He had to stretch every bit of his being to get that out of Maupay's path. That would have been a goal.
I don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I think that's the second or third save that, like, we call them Hollywood saves, that looked the part, but it's because he was going the wrong way, and that's what makes the save impressive. But then the counter to that is there an issue with his positioning? But I suppose you can't really say that when. But here's what I was going to throw back to you there, right? So, see, before the Norwich game, the Burnley game, the Spurs game, and the Brighton game, if somebody told you that we had walked away from those fixtures with 10 points total, would you have taken that prior to the start of those fixtures?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you excluding the first 3 games then? So you're excluding? Oh dear!
All I'm doing is just putting that on because that's the kind of person that Nunny is at this point. Sorry, go ahead and answer.
But what I'm saying is at the tail end of those games, the Brentford, Chelsea, City game, if somebody had said to you, before the restart after the international break, would you take 10 points from your next 4 fixtures? I'm pretty sure the majority of Arsenal fans would snap your hand off. And again, that's not to take away from what I think was a dreadful performance today. But again, like we've sort of reiterated over and over again, given the circumstances of which that match was played under, and I'm not going to say the weather, but how badly we were being overrun by Brighton. I think that in that moment,
Owen, you'd call it a soft day, really, wouldn't you?
That's our fucking summer. That's great. we go to the beach in that weather.
But listen, following on from
I live in the north
Ramsdale,
of England, mate. It's constant up here.
No, it's much worse in Ireland, I guarantee you.
No, I know.
Following on from that thing that I said with Kevin Nolan, he came along and said Fabianski was a better keeper than Ramsdale. And I said, can you qualify that, please? He said, I wouldn't have professionally, and this was nothing to do with, because he's not a West Ham fan or an Arsenal fan. I know he's got allegiance. He's not a Liverpool fan either, being a Scouser, or an Everton fan, being a Scouser. But he said that Ramsdale was one of these keepers, and this is the quote, that he likes to make a save, a Hollywood save, because somebody mentioned that as well, out of the most average save going. How would you rate Fabianski, post-Arsenal, I would say, probably, rather than while he was at Arsenal, Fabianski over what we've seen of Ramsdale to date?
I think that when you look at Fabianski, I would put him in almost like the Petr Cech type of mold. And what I mean by that is we have had numerous keepers in the Premier League that look fantastic, that pull off these worldly saves. But Petr Cech was never one of them keepers because his positioning and his reading of the game was so good that nothing had to be Hollywood, that everything was within arm's reach, that it looked so controlled. And I think that Fabianski very much falls into that role. I think that he's someone who's massively underrated. I think if you listen to the West Ham fans, they absolutely love the guy. And I think that we talk a lot about players that we let go, Serge Gnabry being one of them, name the countless list that goes on. I think Fabianski is one of those ones that we maybe let go too early.
Do you think our results over the last 5 seasons would be that much better if we just held on to Fabianski as our number one and play? I mean, I don't think it would have been.
No, I don't think so, because our defense has been so dog shit.
Yeah.
So who cares? I mean, like.
But what I'm going to throw back as well is, and somebody's put in the mask on, put into the chat there that Ramsdale is a real thing, and I think that something that Ramsdale has taught me that I didn't realise that I really, really liked was I always thought that football players are like a commodity, you know, that they only need to be good at something, that's all they need to do if they do their job, that's great. But Ramsdale has brought back to me that the connection matters, that the relatability matters,
hugely.
The way that he presents himself matters. And I would go as much as said, I think that I said that at this moment in time, I would say that it's 70% talent and 30% the aura and the presence of the person. And it even got me going, and here's one to throw over it is a bit of a stupid question. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but like I'm saying there, the personality and relatability of players really matter now, and I don't think there's anybody more famous in the footballing world at the minute as being relatable as Ben Foster at Watford. His contract's coming to an end. You see all the cycling GK stuff, and he seems to me like an absolutely unbelievable guy to have around your squad in terms of positivity and leadership. Is that somebody that you would maybe take a crack at getting on a year if we move Bern Leno on at the end of the season? Is he someone that you would take in just for those attributes that he has in terms of his personality?
I mean, we might as well sign Peter Crouch then too. You know, if we're just assembling a nice, fun social media.
I think
he's still a very capable goalkeeper, especially for, you need to have somebody there as well.
Is he available?
This is something that when you look throughout the squad, yes, competition is very good. Not necessarily in the goalkeeping position, you know, because somebody is going to spend a long, long time sitting on the bench throughout the season, especially with no European football.
I think whoever you get in as number 2 has got to be an up and coming, or else, for the want of a better phrase, it has been, because Ramsdale's going to hold on to that position for some time. Leno, as Scunny knows, I've not been a great fan for a long time, and I unfortunately have been proven right that he is a one-trick pony. He's a great shot stopper. He's got no control of his box, and he doesn't know how to catch a ball. He just punches out onto the penalty area. But I think whoever comes in underneath Ramsdale, or whoever our number one is, if it's not Ramsdale going forward, which I expect it to be, has to be somebody who's willing to sit there as a number two and pick up the Cup games and the Europa League games if we get back into Europe soon. And they're talking about Onana from, is it Ajax or in Holland somewhere? Yeah. I don't think he will come to us, simply because if he comes to us, he'll want to come for number one position, and I don't think he's the quality of him and Ramsdale. They're two alike. That it's not a case of I want to.
You hit the nail on the head, Fergus, which is you need an up-and-comer or a has-been, which is why, although it's sort of a jokey question about Ben Foster, but and with all due respect, as I said, I think he's actually still quite a capable goalkeeper, but he's a has-been with a very good attitude and reputation.
Well, Matt Ryan would have been an ideal number two, wouldn't he? If we could have kept him. Now he's off to wherever he is, and he's left his bloody table and chairs in England. It's disgraceful. Sorry.
No, I agree. I've said it now. I've been proven wrong about Ramsdale. I wasn't overly keen on the signing when he first came. I was a bit sceptical about it. I never criticised him as much as what a lot of people did when he first came to Arsenal, which was wrong.
Why would you criticise the guy before? I mean,
exactly. I agree. I was sceptical, but I never criticised. But it's a case of now it's he's proving me wrong, which is good. And like I've said on many podcast shows, I like to be proven wrong by people, especially players. That's what it's all about.
A perfect example of not making judgments of players is Tomiyasu. If I'm honest, when I never heard of the guy. Yeah, okay. I watch Premier League football. I watch Arsenal, but mostly Premier League football, and that's about it. And I hadn't heard of the guy, and I just thought it was another sort of marketing ploy that we done with what was it?
Rio Miyachi
and Park and so on. And it sounds awful, and it's the wrong thing to say, but just the cynic in me was thinking that. And the guy, I've watched him play, and Lokonga. I didn't know him from Adam. Ramsdale, what everyone else was saying. All our signings that we made, but with the exception of Ben White in the summer, everybody had something poor to say about them. And I've watched them all, and they've all actually excelled and filled me with some confidence that there's some sort of rebuild going. They mightn't be the top level bloody Champions League winners, but they're the base that we need to build on and build on and build on and build on.
That is where we are right now. We have to have some diamonds in the rough because we've tried to splash, and in a couple situations we've missed. And this team is not going to get back up to the top.
Is that splash and dash then, Mike?
No, I mean, look, Pepe, $72 million. I mean, we can't get back to the top without discovering some players and bringing them from being 10 to 20 million pound players into players that can get us in the top four and would be valued at 50 or 60 or 70 million pounds. And Tomiyasu seems to be on the way to that. Ben White, we hope.
What about Tomiyasu?
Tomiyasu is in your fantasy team, which is exclusive to Polish players and Russian players. But look, I think today is another step along the road. It could have been a lot worse. Let's just put it that way. Then after the international break, between now and the next international break, we've got 3 Premier League games and a League Cup game. I'll be at all 4 of them. I think we need to win all 4 of them. We will win all 4 of them because I'll be at all 4 of them. The 4 of them are important. We need to win all 4 of them. Do
we need to win all 4 of them? Do we?
I think we need to win all 4 of them. And
should it be 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them then, Mike? What do you reckon?
All of them. And I think October will be the month. So anyway, Mikey, Fergus, Luce, Who else joined us? Colin, David, and Lori Ziegler. Anyone else join us today that I've already forgotten about? I don't think so.
None.
Oh yeah, well, I was intentionally leaving.
Yeah, that pint of lager that's behind you in that bush. You love a bit of bush.
I do. These are real bushes. This is my backyard. Look.
Oh, I know you like real bushes. You're a '70s child.
I do. None of this landing strip shit. But anyway, join us after the international break. You can check us out on. You can check me out on League Judges TV Tuesday night. We're doing a new show called Arsenal Soup. It's worth listening to. It's worth watching.
Are you going to be drunk again?
No, I will not be drunk because it's Tuesday night, and
really?
I would never think of drinking on a Tuesday night.
No,
never, ever. But
hey, Scotty, check the WhatsApps out on Tuesday night. He'll be pissed.
Yeah. Fergus, what are you doing next? What's your next online venture?
Wednesday night, Guns and Yellow Ribbons, usual 7:30. Myself, Trev, and a couple of guests.
You're not going to have Max on?
No, you and Max are so obsessed with used cars. I just don't get it.
All right, Mikey.
I just like brand new cars, and I got lots of them. That's number 59 you saw today.
Oh wow! 10 more
used
cars.
Used car sales must be up then, mate. If you're getting new cars.
Apparently so. I don't know. I just financed them. I'm all about the money.
Mikey, when's the next Art Bros?
I ain't got a clue. I don't do much Art Bros now. I know they do a show on Thursdays, usually around 10 o'clock at night in the UK. I'm just sort of a free agent now. I just plod along whoever invites me these days just to get on something. That's all I really do.
That's a lot less pressure that way, I'll tell you.
Can we also just have a moment for the misogynistic approach that Magic Mike has had? He mentioned all the men and forgot about Lucy Hogg.
I mentioned
I thought you mentioned Lucy.
Absolutely did. Fuck you.
Can we just take a second to recognise Fergus's misogyny by not realising that we mentioned the one female that we had on the show tonight?
Yeah, that is.
Okay, I'm going to flog myself right now.
What you just accused me of. Fergus. I was about to say something, and then I don't want that.
No. Mike. It was a pure joke. It's a pure joke. It was just something. It was a pure joke.
No.
I'm thinking this could go a bit too far now, so I think we should probably stop this.
Yeah. No, I think we're good. Oh, and good to see you again. Thanks for joining me on the post game. We'll see you. We'll be on tomorrow night again, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. So it's a valuable point against Brighton. And congrats to the Arsenal women today with a 4-0 win over the Aston Villa women. I mean, things are looking up for Gooners. So with that, I will say, come on, you Gooners.